Well, welcome back to Besterns 2019. We're getting ready for bout number 3 of day number 2. My name is Mr. Clitter, hanging out with the one and only Rich Mahogany. Rich, how are you, sir?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. Great to be here in Denver. It's been an amazing weekend of roller derby already. We've seen, 4 games now so far? Each one of them nail-biters coming down to the last few jams. I'm really looking forward to this game between Houston and Happy Valley.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point. It's hard to believe we've still got 4 more bouts to go. I'm really intrigued by this one. We've got from Salem, Utah, the Happy Valley squad. Now, they are riding a 2-0 win streak. They won. They beat Eville by 2 points yesterday, and then they had a victory today against Madison. Houston, well, they beat Rocky Mountain by a couple of points last night, looking to ride that momentum into day 2. We've got Happy Valley wearing the white jerseys when they're on the track. They've got the pink trim and the black bottoms. I'm going to run through that roster real quick. That is going to be number 0, O Negative. Number 12 is Cookie. Number 131 is Kickin' Assets. 2113, Pearl of the Scars. 223 is Valkyrie Vixen. Number 26 is Maid Carry On. Number 418 is Mooner. Your captain is number 428, Olivia Wildchild. 503 is Hypnoxic Therapy. Number 700 is Triple X. 8 is Sookie Slaphouse. Number 801 is Orange Crusher. We've got number 831 is Busy Hummingbird. Number 84 is Wham Bam Julianne. And number 87 is Blue Raccoon. The squad working the bench for the Happy Valley Derby Darlings. That's going to be Robert, Gypsy Wiper Out, Honeymooner, and Ass Coach.
Over on the other side of things for Houston Roller Derby, wearing the black with pink accents, we are going to see number 2, Twilight, number 215, Payo News, number 221, Lulu Choppin, number 31, 2x4, number 43, Diamond Cutter, number 44, Killstoy, number 5, Hallelujah, number 51, Bustin' Beaver, number 702, M Appropriate, number 716, Ruby Ridicule, number 89, Arrakis, number 898, Helen Killer, number 9, Engine, number 91, Slayer Moon, and number 929, Dropkick Betty. And the Houston All-Stars are supported from the bench by Snick, Dexter, and Punch.
So there we go, and of course you can't make this happen with all of the officials. We got lots of officials. We got Dial the Kid, we got Doesn't Matter, we got Pika, Snarkomedes, Refty Venture, Cat Sergeant, Graffy, Oh Yoshi Didn't, PH Demon, and Pyro. We've got some more NSOs, Ultraviolet Blue, La Brequenya, Scary Bee Cheeses, Darth Thader, Underrager, Booties, Scare Bear. And that makes up our squad of not only skating officials, but non-skating officials. It's amazing the amount of work that goes into putting together an event like this, Rick. I mean, we've got skaters, we've got officials, we've got folks doing multiple things, wearing hats, we've got NSOs who are also announcing, and maybe they'll skate a bit later. It's just incredible the amount of hats that folks wear.
Absolutely. Not only that, but we've got our vendors here keeping us well hydrated and fed. Our volunteers here at Besterns 2019 keeping us really well taken care of. It's been a fantastic experience so far.
Yeah, you know, it's springtime in the Rockies, and I say that if you know what I mean, because you've been in the area, you know just how tumultuous springtime can be. Beautiful day outside, 80 degrees. A couple of weeks ago we had snow. But then the other thing that happens, even when you get the nicer weather, sometimes you get the booming thunderstorms that roll in. All right, about this time, we'll see if that happens. If it does, it'd be a nice cool off because it gets a little warm in some of these venues. But always an interesting place in Colorado. This is the time of year where you can have pretty much all 4 seasons in a matter of about 8 hours.
Oh yeah, no, it was a beautiful sunny day for a while yesterday, and then I was hanging out at our Airbnb before coming down here to catch the first game, and all of a sudden thunder cracks through the sky, and rained for a little while, and then it was beautiful again.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to have so much of the same theme on the track with the thunder and the lightning for the skaters. So we've got about a minute to go before we get rolling. I'm really intrigued by this. Happy Valley, to me, has been one of those fun stories. I remember starting to see them come through in regional tournaments 3-4 years ago. They've only been around since 2011, so a relatively young league. But every time I'd see them, I'd see incremental improvements in a lot of the things that they're doing. And it's starting to culminate in what I've seen in the 2 bouts that they've skated in today. I'm really intrigued to see what happens when they take on somebody of Houston who's got a history, who's got a little bit more of a long-standing structure. But I'm gonna try not to geek out too much, but I'm gonna try to stay impartial as well.
Don't worry, I'm not going to hold you to that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So we are lining up for this first jam, ready to get things underway as Houston's taking on Happy Valley. And for Happy Valley, it's going to be number 8. That's Suki Slaphouse.
Yeah, she's going to be squaring off against Slayer Moon for Houston. Again, Houston in the dark jerseys trimmed with pink. Happy Valley in the white. Suki Slaphouse is going to be your first lead jammer of the bout for Happy Valley.
Suki put in a lot of work in the games previously played this weekend. Just against Madison was definitely the high-scoring jammer of that game, picking up several 20-point jams, which were the highest-scoring jams of their games.
And then always the question becomes in an event like this is, does that mean that Suki Slaphouse has found that groove and knows what she's doing, or are we going to have a little bit of fatigue setting in? I don't think so. I don't think that's the type of thing that you'll see. Utah is fairly close in altitude, if not a little bit higher than where we are now. I don't think the oxygen thing will be a thing. Happy Valley is always traditionally a very conditioned team as well, so I think it's probably the first option that I proposed.
So a 3-0 jam in favor of Happy Valley that last jam. Got one skater in the box for Happy Valley, so 4-3 pack advantage in favor of Houston. It's going to be number 43 on the line for Houston. That is Diamond Cutter.
We got Valkyrie Vixen donning the star for Happy Valley. Diamond Cutter has that pack tripped down to a single skater at turn 2 and finds that seam. Now Houston commands the action with the lead ball. Valkyrie Vixen about a quarter track behind as Diamond Cutter engages the pack along the backstretch and into turn 3. Big collision by Diamond Cutter, unaware that her skater in front of her had hit the ground. She turned around, tripped, took a nasty spill right in front of us. She looks like she's okay, but our EMTs are going to get out there right away and make sure everything's all right.
So that jam will get called off with 2 points up for Houston. So that brings our score to Houston 2, Happy Valley 3. Clock is currently stopped at 28 minutes, 19 seconds as we take a quick look here at Diamond, making sure everything's okay. And as you were saying, it looks like she is going to be all right here. She's chatting with the EMTs, up, skating off under her own power.
Under her own power, that's a good thing.
Looks like she will be back in the action in a jam or two.
Yeah, whether it's combat sports or any contact sport, they always say it's the one you don't see. It's the hit, it's the punch, it's whatever you don't see that can do the most damage. And essentially what had happened there, Diamond Cutter was doing a bit of a spin, calling off. She tripped over an, unbeknownst to her, fallen skater of her own team. And then it was a bit scary because she didn't know that was going on, couldn't quite brace, and it looked like the back of her head might have hit the track kind of hard, but she is off on her own power, so hopefully we'll see her back soon. Back on the track, we got Hallelujah, lead jammer for Houston.
Skating against hip knock-it therapy for Happy Valley, who is still working on the initial pass up at the front of the pack. Both of these teams very defensive. We've seen Happy Valley displaying a lot of a tripod with one offense playing this weekend, which has been used to great effect thus far. We will see hip knock it out through, now able to score points.
Hallelujah finds a seam at the inside part of turn 1 to grab 4 points. Started the call off, but we had that aggressive jamming, so it's going to be a 4-2 jam. Houston with a 6-5 lead at the end of the jam.
These teams keeping it nice and tight here. We'll have a single skater in the box for Houston as we go here into jam number 4. Happy Valley at full strength as Busy Hummingbird's going to take to the line for Happy Valley in the white and pink. And that looks like it's going to be Twilight, number 2 for Houston in the black and pink. And we're into it.
We certainly are. Twilight's dancing under the stars for Happy Valley. Got a tripod in front of her just past the jam line and nothing being given there. On the other side of the track, at the inside part of that apex between 1 and 2, Busy Hummingbird is bumped off as well and has to recycle back to the pivot line.
The jam still open as we see a number of skaters heading to the box. Actually going to be one blocker for each team. And Happy Valley taking lead jam for the first time since jam number 1.
That's Busy Hummingbird coming around. That pack sets up About turn 2. That's where Hummingbird engages as a 3-wall, currently being braced by the Houston defensive front. Bustin' Beaver now rotating around. We've got Pay Your Dues doing the bracing of that tripod.
Twilight able to find some daylight on the inside, narrowly dodging around Busy Hummingbird as she was going down on the inside. That will force the call off from Happy Valley. So 4 points up for Happy Valley. That will give us a lead change. Score now sits at Houston 6, Happy Valley 9.
Yeah, we're just under the 26-minute mark. First period, just getting going. Got plenty of action coming your way. Suki Slap House is donning the star for Happy Valley. It's a rematch of Jam number 1 because Slayer Moon is also out there for Houston. We've got a lot of activity in the penalty box. Looks like Happy Valley's got 2 in there, and Houston has 1.
Suki Slap House on the inside line for a quick lead Jam. Taking those lines has been something that Suki has been doing to great effect all weekend long. She's just so nimble and fast on her feet, able to get through where one thought there was no space. Does it again right there, gets 4 points before calling off the Jam.
Yeah, there was a perfect example of it visually as you were talking about it verbally. A little tiptoe through a pack, scooting through, getting the hips to pass all 4 of those blockers. The footwork looked absolutely thoughtless. Okay, we've got Valkyrie Vixen back on there for Happy Valley, and good to see Diamond Cutter, number 43, back on the track, jamming for Houston. Diamond Cutter wasting no time inside path of turn 1. Lead jammer is Houston.
Break a 2-lead Jam streak for Happy Valley. 2 so far, the longest streak of the game. And we've got to hit this penalty box emptying out just as the Jam is called. Going to be a 3-0 Jam in favor of Houston, making this a 9-13 Jam. 4 points separating these teams.
It'll be interesting to see how things develop after the feeling out period, so to speak, happens. I think you're exactly right. Both of these squads are keeping it tight defensively, but at some point in time, something is going to cause things to open up, whether that's a series of penalties that gives somebody a power jam, changes the scope of the scoring. But at some point, these squads are going to start putting some leverage behind everything they're doing.
Very quickly, Jam taken there by Hypnotic Therapy. Jamming for Houston, it's going to be number 5, Hallelujah. Hallelujah still working on the initial pass, going to be forced to the outside, recycles back behind Olivia Wildchild.
Earl of the Scars calling the penalty, so she's going to hang out in the penalty box for 30 seconds. Hallelujah finds that path, recipe for success at turn 2, and that is going to get her through and eligible for points. Hypnotic Therapy makes a pass, gets 4, looks to her bench, and then calls it off. So it's going to be a 4-0 frame for Happy Valley, 17-9 overall, with the 23 mark currently being passed on the clock.
As we look down to the jammer line for Jam number 8, it's going to be number 702, Emma Propriate, to jam for Houston. Up against, I believe that's 418 Mooner out there for the Happy Valley Molly Morbids.
Happy Valley starting out 1 blocker short in the box. Emma's working, pressing forward.
Emma Propriate wasting no time getting up to the front of the pack. One feed does get through, lead Jam assessed to Houston All-Stars.
Yeah, the rest of the pack's going to set up around turn 2. It looks like Mooner has got her hands full of Pay-O Dues, also being assisted there by Dropkick Betty, but just as she saw some daylight, a trot cut is called on Mooner. That's going to make a power opportunity for Houston as it's called off.
Houston able to pick up 3 points on that jam, calling off the jam before the Happy Valley Jammer was actually able to sit in the box. So this will be a full 30-second power start for Houston as we get into jam number 9.
Taking the star with the power start. Looks
like Houston's going to send Slayer Moon out there to take that penalty, try to seize some momentum. This might be that opportunity I was talking about where the feeling out process starts to end and players start going and moving towards their strength.
Happy Valley going to try to catch.
Slayer Moon with a good tiptoe move around the inside part of turn 1, grabs that lead status.
Happy Valley with both their jammer and a single blocker in the box. Oh, beautiful spin move on the outside there by Slayer Moon. Going to pick up 4 more roller derby points for Houston.
Slayer somehow fought off that hit from Triple X, stayed on her skate, stayed on the track, got back to work at turn 1.
A multiplayer block assessed to Happy Valley blocker out there. Missed the number. Okay, that's actually going to be number 84. Wham Bam Julianne heading off to the hit this penalty box. Slayer Moon keeping this jam rolling, has picked up 8 points so far, and as I say that, picks up 4 more. That's going to be 12 total for Houston, taking the lead away from Happy Valley here.
And then they're going to be able to take a little bit more with that because we had a star pass that made Cookie your pivot, now your jammer for Happy Valley. Then promptly a penalty called on Cookie. So our jammer for Happy Valley is in the penalty box. Houston just put 16 big points on the board during that jam. And to add salt to that wound if you're Happy Valley, Houston is going to have a power start with our next chapter.
Wow. So all game long, we've only been seeing single pass jams until here in jam number 9, 16 points total. So Houston now going to see if they can pull this momentum away. I know in the Madison Happy Valley game that we watched earlier today, penalties were definitely a major component of the story. Saw a number of foul outs, so we'll see what happens here as we get into the next jam.
Hallelujah gets through. She is your power jam start. She now has lead jammer. The pack hangs out around turn 1. That's where Holly engages. Holly looking to get some help from her blockers. I see Pay Your Dues in there, trying to help out number 5 any which way she can.
Cookie for Happy Valley, right back in from the penalty box, flying over the apex. I was not expecting her to get that much air on that jump, but beautifully done. Jam is going to be called as we get a little bit of a pileup in turn 1. Going to be a 3 in favor of Houston.
And you know that pileup is going to result in Cookie going back to the penalty box. So another power start for Houston. I think this is that point now we were talking about where Houston lands the first big blow. They've got a 14-point lead at the 19-minute mark of the first half. It's up to Happy Valley, 1 to stay disciplined, 2 to stay focused, and 3 to answer that. Because now, instead of the feeling out process, Houston has come out and said, this is what we're going to do. What are you going to do about it, Happy Valley?
Diamond Cutter out there to take lead jam for Houston. That's going to be 4 lead jams in a row for Houston. Of course, 2 of the last 4 jams have been power starts, so definitely a factor in the run that Houston is on right now.
That does help, doesn't it? Diamond Cutter at turn 2 solves the riddle of the Happy Valley D, so there's another 4 points for the skaters in the black jerseys.
Into the Houston tripod. Outside, door closes. Inside.
A little bit of recycling happening here in turn 1. Cookie will break through, now eligible to score points for Happy Valley. Of course, Diamond Cutter well aware of where that opposing jammer is, going to call off the jam. Going to be a grand total of 7 points for Houston, once again holding Happy Valley down to 0.
By far the biggest difference that we've seen in the point spread in the bout. 21 points separate the squads, 38-17, 17 and a half to go. Lulu Choppets donning the star for Houston in the black.
That's going to be number 418 Mooner for Happy Valley in the white.
Pivot line start for the pack.
Lulu Chopper versus Mooner. Jam is on.
There's a quick dance move on the outside, and Lulu is your lead jammer for Houston.
Mooner still working on the initial pass, does have all 4 Houston blockers to beat at the bottom of turn 2. Houston blocker will now, I believe that was a multiplayer block assessed to number 716 for Houston. That's Ruby Ridicule.
Peo Duz is a 1 skater wrecking crew defensively on the backstretch against Mooner, pumping her off the inside part of turn 3, and Mooner's got to go all the way back to turn 2, Rich.
Oh, nice run up an open outside line there by Lulu Choppet. Will pick up 4 points for Houston.
Pile up on turn 4, Mooner.
Pile up in turn 4 will cause cause Mooner to have to recycle back into the second straightaway. Lulu Chopper with only 2 to beat. Now 1 pushes her way through Triple X. That's going to be 4 more points up for Happy Valley. Oh, I'm sorry, that completes her initial pass.
Yeah, she hadn't quite made it through, but now she's got a power opportunity as Lulu Chopper was called on a track cut. So Mooner finally gets through on that pass, pays off with a power opportunity, but there's the Houston defense again. Peyo Du's recycling all the way back to the jam line where Mooner's got to engage. She was up by turn 1. She gets bumped off just past the jam line by Peyo Du's again.
Hit this penalty box getting quite a bit of attention here. We have just another blocker here sitting for Houston. So a bit of a diminished pack strength for Houston in this jam. Happy Valley being able to take advantage, keeping the jam even. 4 points up for Mooner as she comes around looking to make another scoring pass.
We're going to skate the full 2-minute jam. We lost that lead jammer to the penalty earlier in the frame. Mooner gets bumped hard to the track between turns 1 and 2 just as that 2-minute clock expires.
So looks like it's going to be an 8-8 jam. So for 2 minutes, we end up with no movement on the score differential. Score now stands at Houston 46, Happy Valley 25. We've got just about 15 minutes remaining to play in the first half. Single blocker in the box for Houston. That's number 716, Ruby Ridicule. She's standing in the box, so she'll be getting back into the action post-haste. Sure will. Into a team timeout.
Yeah, you know, this timeout is brought to you by Hit This Derby Gear. Before you hit the track, Hit This Derby Gear offers a great selection of roller skating gear. They are one of the proud sponsors of Besterns 2019.
So this is a team timeout called for by Happy Valley. Not a bad time to call for it, trailing now by 21 points. In most of the games this weekend, it's been closer at this phase in the game. I believe at the halftime of the Madison game, there was about a 50-point spread. But at this point in the game, it was still very close. So a good opportunity to take a breath, kind of refigure out your strategy here, figure out where things may be going amiss, see how you can turn things around.
I think that's exactly what their strategy is. You know, they're facing a 21-point deficit at this point. We're halfway through the first half, lots of skating to do. But the last thing you want to do is continue the cycle that you've experienced the last several minutes, whether that be penalties, get your jammer in the box, the momentum that Houston has seized. Try to, exactly as you said, calm down, regroup, maybe make a couple of adjustments, but realize you got a lot of skating to do and you got a lot of things that you can do well.
Absolutely.
We're looking at Sookie Slaphouse on the line for Happy Valley, trying to get that momentum going back their way, going up against Twilight for Houston.
And it's going to be Sookie Slaphouse through to take lead jam for Happy Valley. That'll be the first lead jam for Happy Valley in, I believe, 6 jams. No, I'm sorry, that's 5 jams. Announcer math is a lie.
It rounds off, or rounds up, or something. So Sookie's seen her way through for 4 points.
Twilight has just completed the initial pass. Both jammers approaching the pack at the same time. So Sookie says, no thank you. I'm going to call off the jam. No points for you, Twilight. Sorry. Mine is the better vampire story.
She has that advantage.
So you definitely don't want to leave at halftime. You do have to be present to win.
So that will actually be the first time Houston has not scored, again, in the past 5 jams. We'll see here if this means a shift in momentum in favor of Happy Valley, as we see Valkyrie Vixen taking the line for them up against Slayer Moon for Houston.
Valkyrie tried to look on the outside, Slayer on the inside, and then they swap spots. It's going to be Slayer Moon at turn 1, lead jammer for Houston.
Valkyrie Vixen not far behind, going to be flying out of that pack. Both jammers just picking up quite a bit of speed as they get into turn 2. But it's going to be Slayer Moon there for 4 points, but quickly followed by Valkyrie.
Yeah, Valkyrie Vixen says, anything you can do, I can do better. Give me 4 points as well. Pack's going to set up right in front of us, Rich, at turn 3. Slayer Moon.
What a beautiful side serve there for for Houston right at the end there. Slayer Moon around just about the entire turn 3-4 apex. Calls off the jam at the same time. It's going to be a 7-4 jam in favor of Houston.
That's one of those things that you visualize doing and being cool, but you don't think you ever can pull it off, and then somebody like Slayer Moon does it, and you realize, one, that it's possible, but two, it's probably not possible for somebody like me.
You can dream, I believe.
Thank you.
Back to the action on the track. It's number 503 out there for Happy Valley, Hip Knock It Therapy. And it's going to be Diamond Cutter, number 43, out to take lead jam for Houston.
Diamond Cutter runs into a defensive wall of Happy Valley skaters right at the pivot line. On the other side, we've got the Happy Valley jammer through for that initial pass.
Oh, Diamond Cutter almost through, but then out of nowhere, it's Pearl of the Scars to force her to the outside, forces the call off. Will be a 4-0 jam for Houston.
We're just under the 12-minute mark here in the first half. 57-33 in favor of Houston in the dark jerseys if you're just joining us. Both of these squads undefeated during the weekend thus far. Happy Valley so far 2-0. Houston 1-0, so somebody's O's got to go.
And we've got number 5, Hallelujah, jamming for Houston up against number 831, Busy Hummingbird for Happy Valley.
It's going to be Hummingbird on the backstretch. Is your lead jammer. We've also got a power opportunity for Happy Valley as Hallelujah goes to the box on a forearm. Pack coalesces around turn 3, and that is where everybody engages. Busy Hummingbird's got a tough 3-wall that's currently being braced by Bustin' Beaver.
Happy Valley doing what they can to play some O to force the pack to the outside, but Houston just holding so firm, not giving up any space. It's number 51 for Houston. That's Bustin' Beaver is going to force Brain, Busy Hummingbird, to the outside, forced to recycle back into turn 3. And gonna do it once again. That does buy Hallelujah enough time to break through, completes the initial pass for Houston. So that is going to force the call off. 4 points up for Happy Valley. Houston down to 0, and we've got a 20-point game.
We got a 20-point game. Happy Valley wins the jam, so there's something that they can build on. We're into the last third of the first half. Looking over there at the jam line, we've got Sookie Slaphouse out there for the Derby Darlings in white. It's going to be number 702, Emma Appropriate, for the Houston All-Stars in the darker jerseys.
And with the hit, this penalty box empty, both teams are at full strength. And Sookie finds that open outside or inside line, but Houston well aware of that. Looks like they've been watching Sookie's games. So they are going to close the door on the inside. I believe that was number 9, Engine. However, they will not be able to hold back Sookie forever. It's the lead jam for Happy Valley.
It's very interesting. Sookie had a wide open door, and then it would slam shut by the captain of Houston, 2x4s. And then Sookie just kept going. That determination paid off, grabbing that lead ball. Sookie gets through, grabs 4 for the skaters in white, communicating all around with her bench, with her blockers, finally taps those hips. There's another 4-0 victory for the Happy Valley Derby Dogs. 57-41, Rich. All of a sudden, looks like some of the adjustments that Happy Valley had made after they did that settle seem to be paying off.
Absolutely. Things keeping nice and tight here, and it was a wise choice to run that jam as long as possible, as Happy Valley does have 1 blocker in the box. That's number 2113, Pearl of the Scars. So trying to buy as much time as possible to be able to spring her from the box. But not quite able to do it, so it will be a 4-3 pack advantage for Houston as we get into jam number 12.
Yeah, that jamming lineup's going to be Valkyrie Vixen for Happy Valley, but your lead jammer is going to be Slayer Moon. They both make it out hot on the trail of one another, so no points awarded during this one. This one's going to have the same amount of points as I had friends in high school, buddy.
Oh, I don't believe that for a second.
I totally do. We got a timeout on the track. 8 minutes, 28 seconds remaining in the first half. 57-41 is our score. Timeout called by the Houston All-Stars, and this timeout's brought to you by Death and Glory. You know, Death and Glory is a locally owned and operated skate shop. They specialize in roller derby, park Quad and Street Skating. They're the official sponsor of the Rocky Mountain Rollergirls and Denver Roller Derby. They're located here in Denver at the Scum of the Earth Church, 935 West 11th Avenue. You can stop by for some new gear or check this out. They've even got indoor skating on some ramps right there in the heart of Denver.
So if you are in the Denver area, for one, why aren't you here? I hope you have a good excuse, like work or something. And even that, I'm not sure I'll give you a pass on that. But if you're in the Denver area, go and check that out. Get some skating in.
They're actually set up right behind us, so if you are here, you can do two birds with one stone. One, you can be here, and two, you can go where Death and Glory already is as well. You don't get to do the indoor skating here, but come on, guys.
You can dream. Maybe one day you too will skate at Besterns.
That's true. We are back to the action.
Going to be Hypnotic Therapy out there jamming for Happy Valley. And Diamond Cutter out there jamming, but picks up a forearm penalty.
So a good opportunity. The Derby Darlings could have had a power jam, but a track cut called there. So we're going to swap out jammers. We're going to skate the full 2-minute jam. Hypnotic Therapy hits the penalty box. Diamond Cutter is released. Pack's hanging out around turn 1.
So Houston with just enough time here to play a little bit of offense to try to get Diamond through, but now Hypnotic Therapy back on the track. Cookie and I believe that's Pearl of the Scars up there, holding long enough to get Olivia Wildchild up there to help brace and block against Diamond Cutter. Pack really digging into turn 2 here. Not a lot of movement happening, except a little bit of backward movement. Oh, Diamond Cutter almost threw on the end, but gonna take a hit, forces to recycle back onto the 1-2 apex.
Yeah, Happy Valley's playing very strong defensively during this jam. They had a disorganized 2-wall, quickly formed into a 4-wall, and then a good hit by Pearl of the Scars in the inside part of the backstretch forces Diamond Cutter off the track, back to turn 2. She comes back for more. This is a 3-wall as we've got a penalty applied to one of those Derby Darlings.
One blocker in the box for each of these teams. Pack still not really moving outside of turn 2. It does look pretty cozy down there. Although here we go. Finally, Hypnotic Therapy breaks through. That's going to be the initial pass completed, so now eligible to score points. Diamond Cutter forced to recycle on the inside, sees that the clock is just about out. Going to take a little bit of a breath, though. So that's going to be for a 2-minute jam. No points Houston, 2 points Happy Valley.
That's a lot of action, a lot of skating, a lot of exhaustion for only 2 points, but I'm sure Happy Valley will gladly take them. Takes their deficit that they're facing down to 14 points, 57-43, with just about 6 minutes to go in the first half. You know, those little points, one here, one there, those pennies add up to nickels, and they end up paying big dividends at the end. So we'll see if that makes a difference after 60 minutes. Busy Hummingbird is out there for Happy Valley, wearing the star. Looks like we've got Lulu Chop It going to work for Houston.
So we've got Busy Hummingbird trying the inside line, however, not going to quite work out for her as the Houston defense is holding firm. Lulu Chop It trying to dance her toe stops on the inside line, but will take a step out, so has to recycle back. So it's gonna be Busy Hummingbird in his lead jam. And our first star pass of the game for Houston. Pivot number 89, that's Arrakis, is going to don the star.
Busy cruises through turn 4 with a fancy move on the outside, taps those hips. Here comes Happy Valley. Now 10 points separate the two squads, 57-47. We're just under 5 minutes here in the first half.
So we've been talking a lot about the defense in these games, and one thing that we're seeing here is in the last 5 jams, the Happy Valley defense is hold firm enough to not let Houston score any points. So it has just been a few 4 points here, 2 points here, one scoreless jam, but they are chipping away, starting to get back into this game. Just 10 points separate these teams to get into this next jam. Suki Slaphouse back out to jam for Happy Valley. And Slayer Moon for Houston. And Slayer Moon out to take lead for Houston.
Great apex jump.
Jam quickly called off after any points can be tallied.
Puts the pressure on.
I like that. Slayer, check that. Suki Slaphouse was not your lead jammer, but she didn't give up. She got through the pack and put on the afterburners to put pressure on the Houston jammer. Anytime that happens, I think you absolutely have to give credit to that jammer because they are playing defense in a way that makes them skate like crazy. So a 0-0 jam for Happy Valley at that point after that effort is really kind of a victory.
And Happy Valley going to send Suki Slaphouse back out to jam, but it's going to be appropriate jamming for Houston to take lead. So it'll be 2 leads in a row for Houston. Longest streak since jam 14 and 15 for them.
Emma getting a good battle with kicking assets, finds a way through. 4 points for the skaters in the black jerseys. Penalties starting to accumulate for Happy Valley. They now have 3 blockers in and around our penalty box. 2 just released, 1 now sitting. But for a while there, you got some chaos on the track because people have to get back on the track and get back to work.
Suki looked like she had a wide open inside lane, but number 89 for Houston, Arrakis, sees what's going on, races up to the front. Big hit to the inside. Will later then earn herself a direction of play penalty. So off to the hit this penalty box she goes.
Yeah, and there'll be a joining member of the Houston defense. That's Peyo Du's going to be hanging out in the hit this penalty box. So.
And it's going to be a forearm on Emma appropriate for Houston. So now we've got not only a 2-minute jam, but a power jam for Suki and Happy Valley.
Yeah, and 2 blockers for Houston in the box. A lot of extra real estate. Check that. Here comes a 3rd blocker. Just as Arrakis is released, Bustin' Beaver is sent to the box. Suki finds that seam. There's a lot of real estate to work with. That's another 4-point tally for the skaters in white.
Houston trying to set up at the back. However, number 12, Cookie, getting all up in their business for Happy Valley, trying to break up that wall. Will not prevent Suki from being knocked out to the inside, though.
Oh, Suki with a good move to dodge the hit from Peyo Du's right before the whistle. Let's see what the final tallies are at the end of the jam. It's going to be 16 for Houston, 12 for Happy Valley. Lots of points there. Shoot, we've had those 2-minute jams where we had 2 points. This one, well, you get 28 of them on the board.
Yeah, and that is going to be that ties the highest scoring jam of the game. That was jam number 90 or number 9, where Houston picked up 16 points, and that was number 91 Slayer Moon who picked up those points that jam.
We've got an official review called on the track. This review comes with 1 minute 25 seconds to go in the first half. Your current score is Houston 73, Happy Valley 59. This review is brought to you by Ass Kicker Activewear. Ass Kicker Activewear features positive, uplifting messages, and they're designed to fit all body types. You'll feel the love of their soft, flowy fabrics. Once you try them on, they swear their shirts will quickly become your favorites. Work hard, play hard, kick ass.
I know we got a lot of us visiting. I'm coming up here from New Mexico. We got a lot of other people.
I got to say, big respect here for both of these teams, but Happy Valley, this is their 2nd game that they've played today so far. They started off that game at noon against Madison, which is a very defensive, very hard-hitting, high-action game. So that they've still got this much in the tank to be able to hold firm against Houston like this is very much respect to that.
Yeah, quite the testament to their conditioning, the way they prepared to come into an event like this. You know, we were having some conversations yesterday about how the different teams would react to some of the elements that are unique to Colorado. You know, everybody likes to talk about the altitude. I don't think that's an issue for a team like Happy Valley. We were also talking about an advantage that Houston has. You know, Houston, very hot, very muggy. You come here and it's very dry, and they're going to think this is absolutely perfect. So they're conditioned to have those hot, muggy conditions, but then all of a sudden, we've got a pretty cool, relatively speaking, pleasant weather presence for Houston. That might be a boost for them as we get into the latter minutes of the bout.
We'll have have to see. We've only got, let's see, the clock is frozen at 1 minute and 25 seconds. But fortunately, there's a whole nother half of roller derby to happen after that half.
Yeah, tons and tons of skating. And what's it all leading up to? The postseason. We got the postseason right around the corner, Rich. You know, the Continental Cups start in August. We got a couple of them going on here stateside. In October, they're going to do the European Continental Cup. We could see any of the squads here at Besterns at any of those Continental Cups. And then we're going to have the 2019 International WFTD playoffs. Winston-Salem is hosting one branch of that in the first part of September, the 6th through 8th. And then Seattle, Rat City, is hosting the next week. That's September 13th through 15th. All leading up to the championships in November. And that's November 15th through 17th, hosted in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, by Montreal Roller Derby.
So it turns out Happy Valley was looking for the forearm penalty that had been assessed to number 89 Arrakis in the last jam to be upgraded to an egregious one. After review, our officials found that it was not an egregious penalty. The penalty was, it still held, so the forearm wasn't rescinded or anything, but it will not be upgraded to an egregious penalty. And Happy Valley will lose their official review for the first half.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, sir. We're back on the track. We're back to work. We've got Valkyrie Vixen jamming it out for Happy Valley. She's got some room she's working with on the backstretch. But Houston's doing a really good job of moving around, recycling back. Valkyrie's your lead jammer at turn 3. And Valkyrie's going to have a power jam as a track cut is called on Hallelujah. The pack's going to set up along that backstretch. That's where Valkyrie engages. All attention on Valkyrie, whether that's offensively for Happy Valley or defensively for Houston. Valkyrie found a seam but got bumped off by number 44, Kilstoy. Kilstoy, though, also left the track. So Valkyrie Vixen just going to get back to work, tap those hips, and they'll have a power start during the next chapter.
So even though we had the unearned pass, that pass had been earned earlier.
Score getting closer and closer here, Mr. Klitter. It's going to be Houston 73, Happy Valley 63. And unless somebody is going to stop the clock in a second here, we are going to go into halftime, and there we are. So we're going to go into the halftime with a jammer in the box for Houston, 10 points separating these teams.
Yeah, this was an interesting half. You know, we started out with that feeling out process, kind of everybody tightening up their defense. Houston came out, got a bunch of momentum, grabbed about a 20, 24-point lead. Happy Valley starts chipping away at that, and it's almost as if Happy Valley's strategy is the tighter they can keep this, the better for them. If they can remain in striking distance, that's where they want to be, whereas Houston is hoping to expand on some of the things that they did in the middle part of the first half and really pull out in the second half.
Yeah, we saw a few really big jams here for Houston. We saw in Jam 9 and Jam 22, 16-point jams. Other than that, have really not seen more than 2 scoring passes for teams in this game. So really interested to see what things go down like in the second half as these teams have to assess how the first half has been going for them, take a little bit of a breath, hydrate a bit, but then get back here for the second half. So speaking of hydrating and getting back here for the second half, do that.
Absolutely. Don't go too far. We've got a few minutes. We're going to take a break. We'll be back here in about 10, 11 minutes. See you then. Well, welcome back to Besterns 2019. Here we are, bout number 3, day number 2, halftime. We've got about 3 minutes, Rich, but a 10-point deficit only between these two teams has been a common theme throughout the entire weekend. Houston with a 73-63 lead over Happy Valley right now.
Absolutely been an amazing game to watch so far. Taking a look at some of the scoring stats for this game thus far, Houston has picked up lead 13 times, whereas Happy Valley has picked it up 9. Taking a look at jammer penalties, only 5 on the side of Houston, 4 on the side of Happy Valley. A grand total of 19 penalties for Houston, 16 for Happy Valley. There have been quite a few scoreless jams here for Houston. In the last half of that game, Happy Valley's defense was really starting to lock down. There was a 6-jam streak where Houston was unable to score. A grand total of 11 scoreless jams for Houston, 9 scoreless jams for Happy Valley. And there have been a lot of low-scoring passes. We saw only 5 multiple-scoring pass jams for Houston and only 2 for Happy Valley.
So it seems like you got kind of those contrasting styles. You've got Happy Valley, who's chipping away little by little. Thus far in the first half, Houston has been able to take advantage of the big ones. You know, anytime they get a penalty, they're racking up several passes, and then that kind of negates some of the chip work that Happy Valley's put in a few jams.
That's right. The large jams that Houston has been able to take advantage of have been 16-point jams. The next highest scoring jam for them has only been an 8-point jam. So it looks like 8 or 16 seems to be their high number here. Whereas the highest scoring jam for Happy Valley has been a 12-point scoring jam in Jam 22, second to last jam of the first half.
Wow, so I think it's safe to say that the final 30 minutes will be determined by more of the intangibles that you see in the sport. Who can be lead jammer more? Who can stay out of the penalty box? Who can manage the clock a little bit better than the other team? Those 3 things could be the difference, because if you've only got 10 points separating teams, we've got teams just going for those single passes, and it's all going to add up. And at the end of 30 minutes, you just don't know how it's going to fall.
Nobody in any major danger of fouling out thus far. We've got Arrakis, number 89 for Houston, sitting at 4. And Wham Bam Julianne, number 84 for Happy Valley with 3, as well as number 12 Cookie with 3 for Happy Valley. But everybody else with 2, 1, or none. So has been a relatively clean first half. But definitely not going to want to lose somebody like Arrakis to a foul out if you're Houston or a fan of Houston, because she's been out there putting out a lot of great work.
Yeah, she's been standing on her head defensively for Houston. You lose that presence, that's a big loss, especially in that second half of a tight game. And I like the fact that we don't have anybody in serious penalty problems, because you want to have those skaters out there able to do their thing without that fear of what would happen if I get a penalty coming at you. We are going with the second half. Suki Slaphouse with a power opportunity to start as that penalty rolled over.
So, jam called there. I missed who called that off, whether it was Suki or our officials. All right, we are going into official timeout, so take a moment.
Not quite sure what the disturbance there was. They haven't put time back on the clock, and actually, there we go. We're putting some time back on the clock. We're going to go back to pretend that jam never even started. We're going to have Suki Slaphouse on the jam line, reset. Looks like the second half got started maybe a little bit prematurely than everybody actually wanted to have happen.
Well, it's hard not to just be like, oh, it's go time. Start the derby now. Have you not been watching this game? We need to get into it. Skaters were ready, just officials aren't. And that's the important piece, really. I mean, skaters, once the whistle goes and they realize, oh, okay, now I can go. Well, you should be paying attention. But
exactly.
You got to have all the officials on board to get these things kicked off.
And we have that exactly now. So Slayer. Suki Slaphouse is trying to make her way through on that backstretch. There's Payo Dues, the last line of defense. And Houston does a great job reabsorbing around, but Suki keeps the legs a-churning, and good things happen there. There's your lead jammer. Hallelujah serves that penalty, gets out of the box, is approaching that pack, and bumped off nicely by Cookie.
Illegal position or an illegal block hit penalty assessed to Pearl of Scars. Well, she goes to the hit this penalty box. Suki going to call off the jam. Going to be a 4-0 jam in favor of Happy Valley, starting to continue to close up this score gap. Only 6 points separate these teams.
Looks like a second penalty assessed to Pearl of Scars, so it'll be a full minute in our hit this penalty box for Pearl. Diamond Cutter and Valkyrie Vixen donning the stars. on that line. 4-3 pack advantage for Houston. Diamond's going to try luck on the inside part, quickly cuts to the middle, and has the defensive front for Happy Valley trimmed down to 2 skaters. Now 1 skater at turn 2, and there is your lead jammer in Diamond Cutter.
Closely following behind is going to be Valkyrie Vixen, now about halfway, a little less than halfway behind the track. Diamond Cutter with a nice maneuver to the outside, will stay in and calls off the jam just in the nick of time. Looks like she will get 3 points on that one. Manages to hold Happy Valley down to 0. We find ourselves at a 9-point game, 76 Houston, 67 Happy Valley. And hey, that's a score palindrome.
You go 7-6, then you go 6-7. You go back the other way, you get exactly the same thing.
We're all winners when there are score palindromes.
That's exactly right.
Lining up for this next jam is going to be number 503, Hypnotic Therapy, out there for Happy Valley.
That's number 2, Twilight for Houston. Twilight bumped off on the inside part of the front stretch and recycled back by the captain for Happy Valley, Olivia Wildchild.
Twilight's able to take it. Lead jammer.
Looks like a forearm penalty assessed to blocker for Houston. So 1 blocker each in the box for these teams. And of course, as I say that, Pearl of Scars is released for Happy Valley. So Happy Valley now back at full strength. Happy Valley has passed the star over to the pivot, Cookie, who is now donning it.
Twilight's made 1 pass already, looking for more on this second pass.
Twilight calls the jam. We're going to see
A tap of the hips from the knees on Twilight, and there are going to be 2 points given on each team. It's going to be 6-2 victory during the jam for Houston, 82-69 overall in favor of the All-Stars from Texas. 13 points now separate the 2 squads.
official timeout call. Stopping the clock.
Looks like we've got a timeout on the track. An official timeout comes with 26 minutes, 37 seconds.
Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains has been helping
This timeout's brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics. At Roller Derby Athletics, it's their mission to empower every roller derby athlete to be safe, strong, and unstoppable. Roller Derby Athletics wants to help every skater achieve their goals. They take the mystery out of cross-training, giving skaters the tools and inspiration to transform their game without a lot of equipment or time.
Rollergirls. In the 2019 season, we're here for you.
So as we roll through this official timeout, we will get our jammers lining up, although I'm not going to say anything there because off goes the Houston jammer. So that's Slayer Moon heading out back to the bench. Okay, so it looks like the jammer from the previous jam, Twilight, for Houston, ended up picking up a track cut right at the end of that jam. So back to the box she goes. That's going to be a power start here for Happy Valley. That's number 8, Suki, jamming for Happy Valley. And as we said, it'll be Twilight on the track cut, starting from the Hit This penalty box.
Next whistle gets us back to work. Here comes Suki.
Reuse the blocker setting up, running forward a bit. Suki approaching.
Suki with a little bit of a stumble, but then gets her feet back under her. Nice offensive help there. I believe that was by number 131, Kicking Assets, helping Suki to get through and take lead jam. Only 2 blockers on the track up at the front for Suki. As she weaves her way through, will pick up 4 points.
I want to point out the work that the blocker just did on that. Here is what happened. Orange Crusher went up to destroy the pack of blockers that wanted to stop Suki. Peyo Dews took the bait and engaged with Orange Crusher. Then all Suki did was take the outside path for those easy 4 points.
Beautifully executed there. So we've now got Twilight back on the track. Oh, Suki taken to the outside by Peyo Dews. Going to recycle back into the middle of the second straightaway. Twilight still working on the initial pass, getting a little bit of help from Dropkick Betty to open up the door. Will now complete it, eligible to score points.
Suki working laterally against the blocker. Outside line tries the hop.
Boldly attempted for the outside apex jump for Suki, but does not quite land it. Came incredibly close, but will be forced to call off the jam. Does pick up 3 points for her troubles on that pass. So an 11-point jam for Happy Valley will be their second biggest of the game. Houston picks up 4, brings our score to Houston 86. Happy Valley trailing 6 behind with 80.
A little bit of miscommunication there, I think, by the Happy Valley bench. I think they wanted Suki to call that off a little bit sooner and possibly prevent Houston from scoring those 4 points. Might not be a big deal, but it might be one of those little things that makes a difference at the end of the 24 minutes we have remaining.
Back on down to the jammer line. It's going to be Lulu Choppett wearing the star for Houston and quickly taking the lead. Out there for Happy Valley, it's going to be none other than 418 Mooner. Mooner still working her way through on the inside, trying to get through as things start to get scrummy in the turn 1-2 apex. Mooner does come out on the inside, but picks up a forearm penalty on her way through. So that's going to be a 30-second sit in the Hit Dix penalty box to think about what she's done. Houston in the power jam.
Coming up smiling.
So Lulu Choppett going to call off this jam. Does end up picking up 4 points. A good call in my humble opinion here, as this will ice the Happy Valley jammer in the penalty box. And joining her just at the end there is going to be the pivot, number 12, Cookie. So a diminished pack strength here for Happy Valley as we get into jam 7 of the second half.
Yeah, all the better strategy there to freeze that jammer in the box, because now you have a power start. You've got a smaller pack to contend with. If you can grab lead jammer during this jam, well, then essentially you just kind of extend that penalty out much longer than the 30 seconds it would have been.
Slayer Moon out there jamming for Houston. Does not quite get through. Does get through again on the inside. So lead jam going to Houston as Mooner back on the track, looking to complete the mission pass.
Oh, nice move to the outside, avoiding the hit by Slayer Moon, or was Slayer Moon, I should say. She gets 4 points for Houston.
And Mooner ended up taking a big hit there by number 51 for Houston as Bustin' Beaver, but just rolling right off, using the slight change in direction and keeping her momentum going. A well-managed hit.
Big collision on that front stretch causes that jam to be halted.
I'd love to say what happened on that jam, but that was so high speed and force.
So that's going to be an 8-0 jam in favor of Houston. Brings our score to Happy Valley 80, Houston 98. 22 minutes remain to play in this game.
We're going to have Valkyrie Vixen and Diamond Cutter with the stars on their helmets.
Both of these teams have a single blocker in the Hit This penalty box, so a 3-3 pack out there. Diamond Cutter trying to find some daylight on the inside. It will get waylaid a bit, just long enough for Valkyrie Vixen to get out and take lead jam. However, Diamond Cutter is hot on her heels.
Very disorganized pack starts to coalesce around, we'll say turn 3. Now they drift into turn 4. That's where Vixen hits it, taps those hips, and she is not going to score any points. No points during this jam, Rich. Next jam, twice as many, buddy.
So that is the first jam that Houston has been held scoreless in this half since the first jam. Happy Valley currently, that was the third jam in a row they have been unable to put up any points. So we'll see what can happen here as Busy Hummingbird takes the line. Busy Hummingbird having that nice, likes to jam out a little on the jammer line to settle into it.
Whatever it takes to relax, right?
Yeah, and it obviously does her some good here. She gets through on the inside and gets lead. A low block penalty assessed to a Houston blocker here is going to send her to the box.
Indeed, that's Bustin' Beaver heading to the box. Lead jammer has been established as Busy Hummingbird, but she got bumped off the track and reabsorbed into the pack. So that's why you're not seeing her skating around the track and looking for points. Hallelujah. Still having all kinds of trouble with the Happy Valley defense. The latest chapter has been Orange Crusher, bumping her off on the inside part of that front stretch.
pack seems to be getting very comfortable in turn 1 here. Got Hallelujah trying to get through on the inside, but the Happy Valley defense sitting there very patiently, just waiting for her to engage, not even taking the time to back up on her. Just like, no, that's okay. You can come to us. We're nice and comfy up here by our jammer. Come, play with us.
Play with us. We're more than happy to just kind of put our toe stops down and let you try to push through us.
And Hallelujah will finally get through and complete the initial pass. That's with 35 seconds remaining on the pivot clock. Or, I'm sorry, the jam clock. So with that, Happy Valley going to call off the jam.
It was a lot of work and 0 points. As I said during the last jam, no points last jam, this jam twice as many. It's exactly what we got here. 0-0, 2 jams in a row.
That is some impressive math, sir.
I went to school for this. many, many years.
School of Hard Blocks.
Slayer Moon, Suki Slap House on the line.
Almost trying to use one another against their own blockers.
Very frenetic jamming here at the back. Neither jammer really getting past 10 feet off the jammer line until now. And there it's going to be Slayer Moon taking lead for Houston.
It's going to be a power opportunity for Slayer as well as a track cut is called on Suki Slap House. Slayer
Moon will end up breaking through on the turn 1-2 apex. 4 points up for Houston. Happy Valley having a hard time getting back together as Houston is doing a great job getting all up in their business, not letting those walls form up. They will be able to take time up at the front.
Got a big collision there at turn 1 that's going to cause the jam to be halted. Our EMTs out there couldn't really see from our vantage point between all the bodies and the opposite end of the track exactly what happened. We've cleared the track. We've got 18 minutes, 9 seconds remaining in the second half. Your current score is Houston 103, Happy Valley 80. Houston expanding their lead back out to 20-plus points, but that happened in the first half, and Happy Valley took some time, regrouped, and came back and erased that down to a 10-point deficit at halftime.
That's right. Houston, their jammer penalties starting to get a little sloppy at the end of the first half. In the last 5 jams, let's explain. In the last 8 jams, there were 4 jammer penalties for Houston. But so far in this half, Houston's only gotten a single jammer penalty, and that was in jam number 3. On the other side of things, Happy Valley with 2 jammer penalties so far in this half.
Yeah, every penalty is something you want to avoid. Every jammer penalty, even more so. It's like we've got our injury timeout taken care of. It was Cookie, the injured skater, had a collision with the jammer during the last jam. She skated off on her own power, so that's a good sign. Looks like she's going to hang out on the bench. No EMT attention at this point, so all signs are looking good for Cookie. We'll see her back soon. That whistles the end of our official timeout, so our next whistle is going to get us back to the skating.
So this will be a power start here as Houston sends up Diamond Cutter to the line to jam. Suki will be starting from the box for Happy Valley, though she is standing, so less than 10 seconds remaining to serve on that penalty.
Here comes Diamond Cutter. Started on the middle, bumped to the outside. Quickly dances around Orange Crusher and attacks that pack again on the outside part of the pivot line. There is your lead jammer.
Suki Smackhouse back on the track. And runs up the inside line, but ends up meeting with a body. You can see they're on the other side of the track, and there are officials between us, so not sure who did that block, but it was a nice closing of the door. Got Diamond Cutter trying to get through here as well. And will dance up the inside line. 4 points up for Houston.
Suki going to the penalty box on another track cut, so it's going to extend that power opportunity for Houston and Diamond Cutter. Diamond engaging that pack along the back stretch, working her way around turn 3, getting some help from Bustin' Beaver. That's a team earned 4 points.
4 more on the board for Houston.
track cut penalty. Going to send a blocker for Happy Valley to the box. Suki Slaphouse now standing, looking to get back into the action. Only 2 to beat up at the front of the pack for Diamond Cutter, although now being joined by a third blocker. Will end up finding the hole on the inside. Through for 4 more points, Houston.
12 points thus far in the jam for Diamond Cutter and the Houston All-Stars.
It's not a surprise to anybody black, so I'll call it Star Pass.
And we've got a star pass on the track. It's going to go over to the pivot for Happy Valley. That's 131 kicking assets. That'll be her first time wearing the star this game.
No points for Happy Valley. 3 more points.
Will force the call off. 0 points up for Happy Valley. Going to be 15 points for Houston. Starting to extend that lead out as we now stand at Houston 118, Happy Valley 80. So 38 points separating these teams with 16 minutes remaining to play.
There's one of those one-sided jams we saw in the first half that Houston was able to take advantage of. The difference here in the second half is if Happy Valley seizes the momentum and chips away, they have another foe on the track, and that's the clock. If you've only got 16 minutes left, you can't do it in 2-3 point increments. You're going to have to go for broke at some point.
Right, you are, Mr. Twitter. We're going to see what Hypnotic Therapy can do for Happy Valley here as she skates up against M Appropriate for Houston. Pack has not yet broken through turn 1. Each team just occasionally breaking off a blocker to try to play some offense and then breaking off a skater or 2 to head off to the hit this penalty box as Happy Valley will lose a blocker. But it's going to be M Appropriate to get lead jam for Houston.
Wham Bam Julianne hanging out in the hit this penalty box. Not to be undone and Jen joining, so they got some company there.
Here's the instruction from the bench. Calls the jam.
So that jam is going to be called Happy Valley with 0, and waiting for our officials to confer for Houston. That's going to be 3 points, Houston.
3 points. It's a full 3 points.
I want to thank you all again for joining the 5-on-5 media stream here at Besterns 2019. You can chat with us on your screen. You can also hit us up on Twitter with the hashtag Besterns 2019. We're going to be here for the rest of this bout and all day tomorrow. We got 3 more bouts tomorrow.
But it's called on a track cut.
Getting back into the action, we've got Twilight out jamming for Houston, who picks up a track cut penalty to go and hang out in the hit this penalty box. So that will give Happy Valley and Busy Hummingbird an opportunity to get lead jam.
I think this is a very important jam for them right now, Rich. You have to make a statement here. You cannot win this jam 4-0. You cannot win this jam 6-2. You've got to get that jammer through several times, a double-digit tally, and mark that you are not going anywhere for the remainder of this bout. Having said that, Happy Valley wins the jam 4-0, and we'll have a power start here in about 30 seconds.
So I think with the amount of time that it took for Busy Hummingbird to be able to get out of that back, I think calling the jam off here to be able to ice Twilight in the box to get that power start is probably the right call. So we are going to see Valkyrie Vixen to take advantage of this power start. Nobody else in the box for Houston except for Twilight, who is standing. So she'll be getting back into the action.
Everybody moving forward gives Valkyrie time.
So very important if you're wearing a white jersey for Happy Valley that you get Valkyrie Vixen through just like that to become lead jammer. Now you can take advantage of that penalty because Twilight now has to get out of the penalty box around to turn 2 and through that pack for that initial pass. You're on your first scoring pass if you're Valkyrie Vixen, and you can try to make a statement here that says we are not going away and we've got a deficit. We need to start making it up right now.
O-Negative in the business of the Houston Walls, trying to peel blockers off, being successful. So we've got Valkyrie Vixen fighting her way through, now getting 4 points. Twilight still working on the initial pass, but has removed the star, still has it in hand, is going to be forced to recycle back into turn 2.
And took a big hit on the inside part of that backstretch. Star Pass initiated, Star Pass completed. Now your jammer of record for Houston is NGen. Valkyrie Vixen cruises through slowly, looks at the jam, looks at her bench to figure out what to do with this jam.
Well, There is a single blocker in the box for Happy Valley. That's number 84, Wham Bam Julianne. So not a bad idea to run it as long as possible to try to spring her from the box. But as both these jammers are picking up speed and approaching the pack, they're going to have to force the call off. 4-8 jam in favor of Happy Valley.
So after the way this weekend's been going,
Timeout called on the track. We've got 11 minutes, 56 seconds remaining on the clock. Houston with a 125-92 lead over Happy Valley. This timeout's brought to you by Radar Wheels and Rydell. Radar Wheels are some of the best high-performance wheels available. For over 70 years, Rydell has been the leading innovator in the roller skating market, and Rydell offers the finest skating boots available.
each individual is unique. We're also happy to customize your visit. After all, this is about you. Simply sit back, relax, in 45 minutes or less, you'll walk
So
out.
in these last two jams, Happy Valley finally able to break that 7-jam score drought. Only able to pick up 12 points so far in the past two jams, but have managed to only allow 4 up for Houston. So with the clock frozen at 11 minutes and 56 seconds, and you got, announcer math, I'm going to go with 27 points separating these two teams. Got Houston at 125, Happy Valley at 92. So it's going to be a bit of a fight here for Happy Valley to be able to close up the gap, but Suki is just the jammer to do it. However, of course, as I say that, out to take lead jam for Houston, going to be number 5. Hallelujah.
If you're wearing a white jersey, it's time to go for broke. You can't do that very well, though, if you don't get your lead status, as Hallelujah is commanding all the action. She can let this clock go. She can call it off anytime she wants. And there's really not a lot that you can do if you're wearing a Happy Valley jersey. Holly hits that pack one more time, emphatically taps those hips, and she's going to get a few more points. More importantly, they hold Happy Valley to just a couple, so it's going to be a 6-2 victory for Houston. That clock keeps ticking away. We're down to about the 11-minute mark.
We'll have this jam starting off with a 4-3 pack advantage for Happy Valley. That's going to be number 51, Bustin Beaver, in the box for Houston. Happy Valley going to send up Hit Knock It Therapy to jam. No Houston jammer on the track. Unclear whether or not the jam started. Nope, no jam starting. So looks like a
That doesn't mean it's a 2-minute jam with no jammer.
misconduct assist to number 31 for Houston.
2x4 says the captain is going to serve that penalty for her team.
I see, because the lack of fielding a jammer. Can't do that. Can't do that.
Of course, if you're Happy Valley, you're thinking to yourself, can't we just revert back to the fact that there would be no jammer, and that would be a much harsher penalty for them, and we could close up the gap that we face here?
Unfortunately for Happy Valley, not the situation that will play out for them. We're going to see Slayer Moon jamming for Houston up against Hypnotic Therapy for Happy Valley. And it's Hypnotic Therapy to get through to take lead.
Good sign for Happy Valley there. That's one way to start. Pack's going to hang out around turn 2, and look at that, untouched through the pack. Those Hypnotic Therapy.
Very nice opportunity there for Hypnotic Therapy, as there were 3 Houston blockers in or around the Hit This Derby Gear penalty box. Now through on the outside for another 4 points. Beautifully held in. We've got Engine now the jammer of record for Houston after having received the star from Slayer Moon. Still working on the initial pass, though.
2x4 has fulfilled her obligation in the penalty box, is now working against the jammer, but there's another 4-point tally. Happy Valley, all of a sudden, chipping away. They've got a 12-point rally running right now in this jam, looking for more. Here comes Hypnotic Therapy.
Engine number 9 now eligible to score points, as the pack is really picking up speed in the second straightaway. Hypnotic Therapy forced to the out, will call off the jam. Gets 2 points on that pass. Grand total of 14, which will make this the biggest jam of the game for Happy Valley, bringing their score up to 108 to Houston's 131.
Yeah, 23 points separating the two. We've got 9 minutes. With a jam like that, it's not quite as urgent for Happy Valley, but I continue to think we're at that point where you've got to You got to go for broke. You got to lay down all your cards. If it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, at least you can say you left this track and tried everything that you could.
Absolutely, and this is the final game of this day, so it's not like either of these teams need to keep anything in the tank for the rest of today. Of course, both of these teams will have games to play tomorrow. Getting back down to the action on the track, though, it's going to be Diamond Cutter jamming for Houston. Up against number 831, Busy Hummingbird for Happy Valley. Busy almost through, but going to be forced to the outside. Recycles back into turn one. Negative hanging out at the front for Happy Valley, trying to play some offense, but it's not going to be enough to stop Diamond Cutter. Picks up lead jam for Houston.
Ericus going to the penalty box again. And a tough defensive presence on that backstretch. Houston's going to miss that here for the next 30 seconds, and they're also going to miss out on Pay Yo Dues. So only 2 blockers out there for the Houston All-Stars.
Busy Hummingbird still working on the initial pass, will finally complete it after getting around Busted Beaver. So now eligible to score points. And Diamond Cutter up at the front of the pack will close the call off the jam. That's going to be 4 points picked up on that pass. 4 for the jam, 4-0 in favor of Houston.
In white, Valkyrie Vixen on the jam line. In black, number 221.
So this will be starting off the jam in a 4-2 pack advantage for Happy Valley. They are going to be sending out Valkyrie Vixen to jam up against Lulu Choppet for Houston.
On paper, the advantage goes to Happy Valley during this one, but you never know. That's why they blow that whistle. Valkyrie Vixen's attacking that pack very quickly and splits that 2-all. Lead jammer now for the skaters in white from Happy Valley.
Lulu Choppet wasting no time getting through that pack. Going to really put on the afterburners to try to close some of this distance between her and the pack. Happy Valley going to lose their blocker Cookie to the box. And it's Valkyrie Vixen through at the front for 4 points.
Happy Valley also playing very good defense. They've got a 3-wall being braced by Pearl of Scars right now. And that allows Vixen to make her way around the track and attempt another scoring pass. Fighting through the hit from Ericus.
Both jammers emerging from the pack at the same time. 4 points for each. 4 thus far for Houston, 8 for Happy Valley. Pack is going to be picking up speed. So far, a single blocker in the box for Happy Valley. It looks like Cookie fouling out of this game.
Dixon calls off the jam. 1 point going up for Happy Valley.
So as the jam is called, gonna be a 7-9 jam. Narrowly taking this jam is Happy Valley. That brings the score to Happy Valley 117, Houston 142 with just under 6 minutes remaining to play.
Wow. You know, that was a jam in the first half or even the first part of the second half. Once Happy Valley got the advantage, they were calling off. They've got to roll the dice. They did that. Didn't quite pay off this time. They did win the jam, but only by a couple points. They're going to need to pick it up in the last 5.5 minutes if they're going to get anywhere close to that 142 that Houston's put up on the scoreboard.
Suki Slaphouse out jamming for Happy Valley. Up against Hallelujah for Houston. Houston going to lose their pivot to the box as Suki is through to take lead jam.
Pay Dues goes to the box.
2 leads in a row so far for Happy Valley. Hallelujah out of the pack, looking to threaten points. Coming up hot on the outside, does get through. So jam is going to be called by Suki. Only 3 points picked up, so Houston able to steal that 1 point away. Will bring the score to Happy Valley 120, Houston at 146. 26 points separate these teams as a clock stoppage is utilized. Looks like it's going to be an official review for Houston.
It looks to me, you know, an interesting thing. I saw Suki get through that pack, be established as lead jammer, and then all of a sudden was skating quite tentatively. And I wasn't quite sure what had happened. She skates off the track, points to her eye, and is talking to the bench. I don't know if that means she took a shot to the eye, she lost a contact lens, but something happened with her vision. She decided to go ahead and call it off, reset, and see what happens. In the next jam with somebody else on the line.
Denver's a lovely city. I appreciate everybody who's
We'll bring you the details details on this official review as soon as we receive them. Taking a look at some numbers for the last few jams. Happy Valley really stabilizing after coming out of that 7 jam score drought, have managed to pick up points in every single subsequent of the 7 jams with the exception of 1. Similar situation for Houston, have only gone scoreless for 2 out of the last 7 jams, but has been a relatively low-scoring past few jams for Houston. Only like 2 multiple scoring past jams, whereas for Happy Valley we have seen 3.
Yeah, it's been an interesting play of 2 different styles of derby. And we've got 3 more bouts taking place tomorrow. At 12 noon here Mountain Time, we've got Madison squaring off against Eville. The 3 p.m. game is Happy Valley taking on the 5280 Fight Club of our host league, the Rocky Mountain Rollergirls. And we're going to wrap things up at 5 o'clock with Madison battling it out with Houston. We've got a lot of stuff going on, and I can't believe this.
Fantastic weekend. This is my first time here at Besterns, and I got to say it has been some phenomenal roller derby, and the host league taking great care of us. And not only has our THA put together a marvelously talented team, but he's just so handsome.
Wow, I don't know who that is, but I got to meet this guy. Holy moly. I also want to point out, speaking of the venue, and also to diverge from that comment, this is the first WFTDA sanctioned event in this venue. A lot of work went into putting up the walls, putting up padding, making sure everything was in line with the WFTDA sanction. So big shout out to the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls organization for making everything here compliant with the WFTDA standards.
So I've got an update for you here on that official review. Houston was looking for a misconduct call to be assessed against white jammer number 8, Suki Slaphouse, for audible profanity on the track. And they are going to award that one. So Houston retains their review, and Suki's going to start this jam in a box. So power jam, power start here for Slayer Moon.
That is just one more reason why I couldn't be a skater, that whole profanity thing. I would foul out in the first 15 seconds. We got Slayer Moon donning the star for Houston, hitting the pack hard, hitting the track hard. We've got some whistles, and I'm assuming that that's going to send somebody to a penalty box, although I don't see anybody leaving the track just yet. I see Suki Slaphouse that has made her way out of the penalty box through the pack and eligible for points.
So it looks like it's going to be a low block penalty assessed to jammer for Houston's Slayer Moon. So an unfortunate situation to start the jam for Happy Valley, but now Suki and Happy Valley on the power jam. 4 points picked up thus far by Suki.
We are going to go the full 2-minute jam. We've got 45 seconds remaining in that jam. Suki finds a seam at turn 1. 4 points for Happy Valley. They got a little bit of work to do. 18 points now is the deficit that they face. Suki bounces around Engine at inside part of turn 1 and gets bumped off the track.
Slayer Moon back on the track for Houston, looking to do some damage. Not only has a single blocker to beat, will get forced to the outside by Pearl of Scars. However, she went out as well, so right back onto the track is Slayer Moon. Right behind her is Suki Slaphouse.
Suki with a shoulder juke into an apex.
Nice little apex jump there by Suki to land and pick up 4 points right behind Slayer Moon. So gonna be an 8-16 jam in favor of Happy Valley. Happy Valley's continuing to close up this score gap. Just 18 points separating these two teams with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to play.
That's kind of interesting to see the decision making going on now. Happy Valley choosing to keep that clock running. They've got 2.5 minutes and they've got 18 points to overcome. Not an unsurmountable total, but they have that other enemy of the clock.
That's right. They do have 2 team timeouts and their official review remaining at their disposal. So it looks like we got a little psych jam going on there.
For those keeping track, Hypnotic Therapy was the only white jersey on the track at the whistle.
So Happy Valley had not quite fielded what you would call a team of blockers to the track. So only the jammer out there, and I have seen a jam like that happen. I believe it was in the 2016 WFTDA D1 playoffs in Seattle, where I can't remember the teams offhand. Oh, I'm a terrible person. But there was one of the teams out there failed to field the majority of their team, but the jam started away, and I believe it ended up becoming a WFTDA postseason record for points scored in a single jam.
Wow.
But we are back into the action now, and it's going to be Hallelujah out there to take lead jam for Houston. Jamming up against number 503 Hypnotic Therapy.
Hallelujah finds a nice path, cuts to the inside at turn 2, grabs 4 points for Houston. Right in front of us, though, we've got Hypnotic Therapy in a good battle with Bustin' Beaver, and then there is the rest of her defense to absorb, swarm around the jammer, and give her no breathing room.
Oh, wow. So Hallelujah trying to get real low and cut to the outside of those Happy Valley blockers. However, at the last moment, her skates slide out from under her. Maybe defeated less by her own skills as the track in this instance. So jam is going to be called off. 4-0 jam in favor. I'm sorry, 7-0 jam in favor of Houston.
161, 136 is your score. We've got 1 minute, 10 seconds, and ticking. Again, a questionable strategy here by Happy Valley to let that clock keep moving. And now a timeout is called with 58 seconds to go in the half.
So that'll be Happy Valley using their second to last team timeout. They've still got a team timeout and an official review at their disposal. Same on the side of Houston. Hit this penalty box is empty, so both teams will be going into this next jam at full strength.
Hey, this timeout's brought to you by Rockstar Bearings. Rockstar Bearings are one of the premier providers of precision skate bearings that are light, durable, and long-lasting. They are the perfect bearings, whether you're upgrading or in the market for your first set.
Happy Valley came in number 57. Both teams came away with a 2-point win yesterday. I think a few cardiac.
So we saw the second half play out in many ways a lot like the first half. The difference is that Houston was able to exploit some of the things they do better on a larger scale. Some of those bigger multi-pass jams that we saw really had much more of a damaging effect to Happy Valley.
That's right, and even on the times when Happy Valley has managed to pick up lead, most times Houston have been able to put up some points to answer. So keeping that score deficit from growing any larger than they really need it to. So we did see Houston go on that 6-jam scoreless run at the end of the first half, but have not gone more than 2 jams without picking up points in the second half.
Yeah, we are now in the final minute of action. We've got Diamond Cutter donning the star for Houston, and it's Valkyrie Vixen out there for Happy Valley.
And it's going to be Happy Valley getting through Valkyrie Vixen, taking lead jam. Diamond Cutter out as well, about a third of the way behind, the track behind. Trying the apex jump, Valkyrie Vixen does seem to land it. So that's going to be 4 points up for Happy Valley.
It seemed like she questioned whether or not she landed it. She was thinking about recycling back and then must have realized that she was on the track the entire time.
Well, discretion is the better point of valor here, and the last thing you want to do in what may be the last jam of the game is send yourself to the box when you're the jammer. But we now are on the jam clock. Period clock has expired. Oh, running up the outside line is Diamond Cutter, but taking a hip check to the out by Pearl of Scars. Will be forced to recycle back into turn 2. Houston defense, that defensive tripod holding firm. So Vixen's going to not get any daylight there and does call off the jam. And that will end the game. Going to be 4-8 on that jam in favor of Happy Valley, making our unofficial final score. Houston 165, Happy Valley 144.
Yeah, you know, even with a couple of points adjusted here or there, we know that the Houston All-Stars are going to be the victors. They're going to take some of that momentum into the third day of Besterns. They are at it to close things out. They're on the schedule at 5 p.m. against Madison. Now, Happy Valley, They can regroup, re-strategize. They're on the clock at 3 p.m. when they take on Rocky Mountain. Well, Rich Mahogany, it's kind of what we thought we were going to see, a bunch of back and forth stuff and just a 21-point game. You know, in the world of Derby where we're all familiar with some of these blowouts, it's funny to say this, but 21 points is the largest victory margin that we've seen the entire weekend, and that's really not that much at all.
Oh, and it's the largest margin by a single point.
Right.
So like Happy Valley taking the 20-point win over Madison just a few hours ago today. So having skated in two very intense and physically demanding games, I think Happy Valley, while not going home with the win in the second game, I think they should feel phenomenal about their performance here.
As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I have seen this team develop over the last probably 4 or 5 years from kind of a collection of people still trying to figure out what the sport is to now a much more specialized team that has a strategy, that has a goal, a purpose, and a way to implement their game plan. I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing from Happy Valley.
Absolutely. Well, I think that will just about do it for us here. You can see our teams taking their victory laps here. Actually, a quick note, if you might have seen here as they came by the camera, Happy Valley have a number of the skaters have a name written on them that's Danny, which is a call out to a coach of theirs that they lost 4 years ago. And so there's the anniversary of their passing. So they've got Danny out there skating, watching them as they compete here at Besterns 2019.
Danny with them on the track as always. Folks, we are so happy that you could join us here on our live stream from Besterns 2019. I'm Mr. Clitter hanging out with Rich Mahogany. We're going to close it up for today, but don't go too far because we are going to be here bright and early, I guess for some, at 12 noon when we have Madison and Eville on the broadcast. So thank you for joining us today. We will see you tomorrow.